fear can be tackled through teaching, through knowledge, through an understanding of scientific methods as essential aspects of our democracy. Scientific method has provided us with an understanding of our fallibility, of the fact that we all make mistakes, that we need to look for truth in a progressive approach.
As scientific progress has extended the range of human actions, the need for political oversight has also grown. The European Commission is in active dialogue with other international organizations, is committed to helping bring about responsible global governance of research ethics. We must make sure that the divide doesn't emerge between scientists and non-scientists. But it is not just about informing the public, nor it is about asking its permission. We need to truly engage non-scientists in big scientific questions and to make sure that they understand and fully contribute.
Do not underestimate what the work of these scientists and researchers means to the millions around the world who suffer from diseases like mine, and the even greater number who care for them as we scour the newspaper and internet for any fragment of news from their laboratories. It may be too late for me, but on behalf of today's children, those who have not been born, and those whose lot it will be to care for them, I say to you, if ever this body, the largest transnational electorate on earth, had a moral responsibility, it is to allow them the freedom to give the millions who have till now made up a lost European community dignity and hope.
There is absolutely no reason why any normal human being should be against science. It's one of those things like art or mathematics, that it by itself does not cause any harm. And to try to control it by saying, we don't like the uses of it, therefore we're going to stop the actual acquisition of that knowledge, is wasted effort. It's a foolish diversion of your energy. It has nothing to do with your ultimate goal, which is to have sort of a reasonably equal distribution of the uses of science.
Scientific research is essential so that its values have an impact in society, and this changes society's values. We need to change the legislation. It's not just about stem cells. They're particularly interesting, of course. I've dedicated many years of research to them, but there are other fields as well which are subject to restrictions, and these are important to patients.
The purpose of scientific research should not be simply the ends established by politicians. At best, research operates as a free market. It operates as a place in which scientists produce valuable ideas into which other people can buy. I am convinced that science will flourish and citizens will benefit where scientists are given the resources to expand the boundaries of knowledge and where they are given the freedom to innovate without political pressure.
In the future, there will be no more human beings. Evolution has left us with a very mixed constitutional blessing. We heard eloquently this morning from Charles Irvine how mixed a blessing it is. We are vulnerable. We are prey to all sorts of diseases and premature death of a horrific sort. I hope we can do better than this, and if we are to survive, we will have to do better than this. If we influence evolution so that we start, hopefully, to build immunities to these sorts of conditions into the human genome, we will not only have shown that UNESCO's ridiculous remark some years ago that we ought to preserve the human genome as the common heritage of humanity is an absurdity, but we will also have opened the door to a future that actually may mean that intelligent creatures capable of pursuing science might just be able to continue to exist on this planet, even if they're not human.
I'm enormous admirer of that glorious episode in mankind's history, the Enlightenment, when reason started to replace superstition. It was not only the birth of modern science, but also the occasion of the first steps towards liberal democracy. And like the Professor Karl Popper, I believe that the two are linked. Science depends on the criticism of established ideas and is therefore absolutely inconsistent with autocracy. Scientific knowledge is tentative knowledge and therefore completely opposed to dogma. It's the enemy of prejudice and ignorance and intolerance.
During the Enlightenment, citizens became scientists. Now, in order to help restore the Enlightenment, scientists must embrace their roles as citizens. The problem of creationism has no quick and easy solution. In the short term, there must be constitutional constraints against the civic and educational damage that religious fundamentalists and their politician accomplices can do. Coupled with these constraints, however, must be the acceptance by scientists and other academics of the civic responsibility of restoring the legacy of the Enlightenment.
As you probably know, we have just emerged out of 30 years of conflict. The peace process has been constantly used to threaten the British government. The members of our Assembly were debating what would be the devolution of policing back to Northern Ireland. And they basically said that if you do anything to the Abortion Act, we will walk away from the peace process and the Assembly will collapse. What are the consequences for women? Well, there's emotional consequences. They have to lie they have to go to England, even though they're members of the United Kingdom, even though they pay the same taxes as women in the rest of the UK, they have to pay money. And it has their health consequences because what many of them are doing, particularly nowadays with credit crunches throughout the world, they can't afford 660 euros or 2,200 euros. So many of them are now accessing mifepristone, early medical abortion pills, on the internet.
I think that science is under fire from religious and non-religious dogmatic systems in ways that differ from past science-religion conflicts. And these dogmatic belief systems are much more aggressive than before because they try to turn the table on science by imitating superficially some features of scientific discourse and institutions. Creationism is one example among several of the current sacralization of belief over knowledge, a cultural force that is threatening to marginalize science in the context of education, health, and public policies, including research policy itself.
Science is a vital instrument for transforming human consciousness and transforming it in a way that can lead to a better, more humane society. Science in Pakistan, as well as in the Muslim world, barely exists today. There is no major invention or discovery that has emerged from this 1/5 of humanity in the last 7 centuries. This arrested scientific development is one important element, although I say this is not the only one, that contributes to the present marginalization of Muslims. Secularism, secular humanism, based on common sense and the principles of logic and reason, are our only reasonable choice for building the world's societies and nations, and that Muslims, as well as everybody else on this planet, will eventually get to that.